For decades, affluent Nigerians have traveled abroad for medical care. Because of this, Nigerians spend $1.2 billion on medical care abroad, which has fueled the mindset that foreign healthcare is by default better than Nigerian healthcare. But that could soon be a thing of the past. Arise correspondent Adefemi Akinsoya takes a look at the state of medical tourism and how the recently opened Duchess International Hospital in Ikeja seeks to reverse it and reverse medical brain drain.
7 stories, 6 years, 1 dream. The Duchess International Hospital is set to revolutionize Nigeria's medical infrastructure. It just opened in the Ikeja area of Lagos, and at the commissioning ceremony, Nigerian Vice President Yemi Osinbajo commended the purpose-built hospital as having the potential of being among the world's best.
So we're here at the Duchess International Hospital. By both medical and aesthetic standards comparable to the best hospitals in the world. And its proprietors proudly and deservedly brag, and I quote, that the mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism by delivering the highest standards of care using the most advanced technology and treatments to give you the fastest, most convenient access to the best medical expertise available anywhere in the world.
According to a survey by PricewaterhouseCoopers, 90% of its Nigerian respondents associate healthcare in the country with poor quality. That mindset isn't helped by the likes of the Nigerian president and other public figures openly travelling to the United Kingdom for medical care.
A place like the Duchess International Hospital is one solution to that. But the truth is that this country could do with 10 Duchess hospitals, and we still will not scratch the surface. It's a huge industry.
Nigeria's healthcare industry is worth 6.5 trillion naira. That's approximately 269 billion US dollars. And if we look at how that money is spent, private healthcare takes the lion's share. Medical tourism is worth 600 billion naira annually. That's 1.2 billion US dollars gone. That's because 60,000 Nigerians leave the country every year for medical care, most of them in search of specialist treatment in oncology, orthopedics, nephrology, or cardiology. And each of them spend approximately 20,000 US dollars per trip. Reversing medical tourism is a key target of the Duchess International executive team, but an equally important task is reversing medical brain drain.
We are getting people over to Nigeria using this kind of facility, and I hope more and more Nigerians who were thinking of going abroad, scoring good marks, having good clinical acumen, if we can attract that kind of talent back into the country, I think it is going to be very good for the place. For Nigerians, yes, for international people, you won't have to go abroad any longer, because not only local talent, but also the way we will be able to draw international talent through telemedicine, through talking to different doctors in different countries. There are people from UK who would be supporting us in our telemedicine initiatives. There's Apollo from India, which will be supporting us in telemedicine. So any country that you would think of for going and establishing your clinical requirements or medical needs, all of that is going to be available here. There is no need absolutely to think beyond.
The Duchess International, funded by Access Bank, is a private hospital. It boasts state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, including a cath lab and a fully equipped eye clinic.
We attend to patients' eye care needs, ranging from giving them glasses, contact lenses, and then moving forward to doing surgeries for those that require the surgeries. We also have specialized equipment like the OCT machine, the fundus camera machine, and the perimetry machine, a whole lot of them. So what this means is that for everything that any patient requires in terms of eye care needs, we have them. We have the special machines to carry out the specialized tests and do complete diagnosis and treatment plans. And we have the ocular theaters where the patient undergoes various surgeries like the cataract surgery, glaucoma surgeries. And we're even looking forward to having subspecialty areas in the eye field.
The 100-bed hospital delivers primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare across a range of specialties, not limited to surgery, emergency and intensive care, cardiothoracic, pediatric, obstetrics and gynecology, as well as breast care services. 100 beds, 5 operating theatres, as well as a range of ambulances. Hospitality has a key presence too. On the 6th floor of the hospital is the Duchess Harley Street practice, a service comprising the Royal London Clinic and Duchess Royal Suites, offering hotel-like privacy for in- and outpatients. Despite the obvious luxury, executives say the care on offer is affordable.
What we seek to do is to combine excellence in healthcare with a unique experience of hospitality. It's a royal standard in healthcare that we aim to provide our patients. At the same time, we are committed to access to affordable healthcare. And the layout of this place and the nature of the facilities and expertise on display mean that we're able to drive the sorts of efficiencies that will pass on those savings to patients.
Duchess International is the 15th hospital in the Reddington conglomerate. Its very presence seeks to end the mindset that foreign healthcare is better healthcare. The doctors, nurses, and medical professionals at Duchess insist every patient in Nigeria is noble and treated like royalty. Adefemi Akinsanya, Arise News, Lagos.
Attracting Nigerian and international medical talent to Nigeria serves a significant economic purpose. The drain of spending foreign exchange on healthcare abroad is a vast $1.2 billion a year, and the Central Bank of Nigeria says improving the healthcare infrastructure in Nigeria will keep much-needed forex in the country and keep valuable talent available to Nigerians. Now, joining us...
of the best in the world. We need to encourage everybody come back home. We will continue to do the little we can to give you the support to grow your business. And most importantly is that more private sector people need to begin to look at in building medical facilities that will help reverse the medical tourism.
Now joining us to discuss the capacity building in the healthcare sector post-COVID and how medical tourism can be reversed are Dr. Tokunbo Shitta-Bey, CEO of the newly opened Duchess International Hospital in Ikeja, Lagos, and Dr. Olutunde Lalude, Medical Director of Reddington Hospital, also in Lagos. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I want to start off with the issue of medical tourism and how we're hemorrhaging forex, well, in your, phraseology as doctors. Foreign exchange that we don't need to be wasting. How exactly is Duchess International Hospital going to address this? And also, I have to say, Adefemi's report cited that perception that 90% of Nigerians associate our healthcare with low quality. So how do you also address that? Letting Nigerians know that it's not a function of just getting your healthcare in a place that's more local and more convenient, that it's of equal quality to what you'll get abroad.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you are right. You started on the right note. The word I always use is that it's a hemorrhage. And fundamentally, it's a crisis of trust. Over the last few years, possibly 20, maybe 30 years, there's been a massive brain drain abroad. Medical personnel, that has been right at the heart of it as well. So the picture that we now see is that right in the middle of this 6.5 trillion naira industry, what we see is that a significant chunk...
If you just project a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a whisperer. A significant chunk of that, about 600 billion naira, goes out of this country in medical tourism every year. We need to consider what Nigerians are looking for when they get on the plane and do that. They want to see tried and trusted clinicians, world-class consultants, technology and treatments, evidence-based clinical pathways. So if we're going to have a chance really to address this hemorrhage, we need to begin to build and to structure our services in a way that is geared to address that. And that's precisely what the Duchess International Hospital is here to do.
Right, I'm sure a lot of lessons were learned during this COVID-19 pandemic. Can we say those lessons have been implemented with the start of just Duchess International Hospital?
Yes, in terms of healthcare delivery, one thing that the pandemic taught us is telemedicine. And why I say that in particular is in terms of harnessing the skills of our doctors in diaspora, for instance. It's quite expensive to fly people in, and also their work commitments. People are not ready to relocate back to Nigeria, but are very happy to contribute their skills to us. So one thing we have placed a focus on is engaging our diasporan colleagues, particularly through telemedicine. We're going to have a very strong telemedicine component to this. And I think also in terms of what is actually available within the hospital itself, COVID taught our people that they might not always be able to travel at times when they need to travel in their perception. And when you look at India, for instance, which is a key destination for medical tourists, we were locked out. And in fact, but the situation at one point was such that you wouldn't want to go there anyway because COVID was hitting them hard. And I think one thing it did teach us is that we have to get to a stage where we rely on ourselves. We have to be internally self-sufficient for a number of reasons. One problem in particular, for instance, is that in a lot of emergency situations, you have very limited time. So in cardiology, you talk about a door-to-balloon time, which is when you're doing a heart intervention, and we usually quote 90 minutes. There's no way you're going to get to India in 90 minutes. So having competent services in country are the key for us to move forward.
Yes.
There's really no substitute for self-reliance, but still on that theme of self-reliance, not if, when the next pandemic happens, because we're sure that it will at some point. How do you think Nigeria will fare if we're ever in that situation of airport closures, being unable to fly, how we saw this hoarding all around the world of medical supplies and healthcare supplies? What happens to us? Have we actually addressed that?
Well, again, a very, very useful question. You're absolutely right, and we must start to think about what we must do to ensure readiness. The truth is, yes, COVID was a wake-up call. It forced all of us to look inwards. We're told that pandemics, yes, are here to stay, and I think it's a clarion call for all of us. Really, we really need to look to ourselves, look to our colleagues, look to the government. We need the sort of environment and investment and funding that will enable us really have not just one Duchess hospital, but several. We need to begin to pay particular attention to the governance arrangements that our healthcare system is subject to. It's time really to take the kid gloves off. Healthcare is going to become an acutely important matter. It already is, but we need to begin to change the focus, look at it in a way that we've never actually looked at it before.
Let's talk about hurdles you have to go through. I mean, because when you look at the healthcare sector, there are a lot of hurdles. At the same time, there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, I was talking about a report that says we've got 360,000 medical beds still needed in the country, and how a lot of private capital will have to come in, to ensure that things are done properly. It's about 6.5 trillion industry in this country. What are those hurdles that are at first blocking private capital, and how can we get that much needed government capital to come in to be able to give healthcare for people that can't afford it?
Well, I think the key thing here in terms of investment is that most investors are looking for a return. Therefore, the major hurdles are actually economic. Now, when you differentiate between foreign and domestic capital, I, in Nigeria, would really like my capital to be domestic. And the reason for that is that then hedges me against currency risk. Just the slide in the naira against the dollar, for instance, for anyone who took debt in dollars, for instance, say 5 years ago, is now facing a significantly increased difficulty in repaying because of the movement against the naira. because that movement is not matched by increase in income in Nigeria, and there are limitations to how we can service that. And then there are other things like regulatory policy, importing, for instance, for medicine in Nigeria can be extremely difficult. Things like it's supposed to be zero rated, but that may not always be the case. We've had circumstances where we've had things sitting at the ports for 6 weeks, where we urgently need these supplies. And it's just a whole range of things that just create difficulties. What we do need in Nigeria is just a general ease in doing business, for it to become much quicker and much easier for us to do. So I think in terms of financial policy, we cannot divorce medicine from what happens in the economy in general. And what we just generally need is a much better economic environment for these people to invest their money in.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of the economic environment, I mean, your video that you shared with us now is terribly impressive, terribly plush, and what have you. But it does seem to appeal to those who have no problems accessing the best medical care in the world. They're hop, skip, and a jump away from London or wherever else. How can your average Nigerian access your services? Is that at all possible?
It is entirely feasible for the average Nigerian to access our services. When you think about the sheer scale of what we've done here, it speaks of a story of investment. What it means is that we are here to stay. We're here for the long haul. So we have taken a long view of this. And when you build something on that scale, it means that you generate quite a lot of efficiencies. The key thing is efficiency. We fully intend to ensure that we pass on these efficiencies to the patient. Okay, so it may seem as though we've built this huge facility with lots of plush things that appeal to the ultra elite, but actually therein actually lies the opportunity to make things affordable for the masses, and we make a commitment to that, and we have no apologies for it.
Right. So, I mean, between the case of Nigerian doctors being, hired in Saudi Arabia, more people choosing to go abroad to study and all of that, how is it important for you to keep talent? Because the problem here is that of a big talent pool. People are leaving, resident doctors and the likes and all of that. How do you keep talent pool here?
Well, it's quite interesting. Obviously, if I go back 35 years or so, I was in that situation where I left. And for most young doctors, there are two major things in terms of, yes, your general economic well-being and also knowledge, and that's in terms of training. I mean, there's no doubt that at this current time, it would be very difficult for Nigeria to match the training opportunities that you have abroad.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that is happening that I'm seeing directly in Nigeria is almost encapsulated by my story. There are many people like me who are in the twilight of their career, highly experienced, who spent long years, who want to come back and contribute. And for instance, what we need to do in Nigeria is to create an environment that makes it easy. That's what India did. India is where it is today because it decided to invest seriously in its broad talent abroad, to encourage them to come home, give them loans, etc., give them conditions which made it easy for them to relocate back to India. And we are actually blessed with thousands of highly qualified specialists who are of Nigerian descent. Most of us actually qualified in Nigeria. We enjoyed the largesse of the Nigerian government at the time, who are actually quite passionate about coming back to contribute. And because these are very senior people, what would happen if a lot of them came back would be that they would be capacity builders, because they will teach the younger doctors. And that might lead to a situation where we have relatively fewer doctors leaving the country. But I think that let's just see it as an opportunity, an investment. That is to say, people are going out to learn. How can we attract them back is the question that we should be asking ourselves. But also, let us work hard to encourage as many of our highly talented doctors abroad who are quite senior to come back to Nigeria and contribute.
If I might add to that, and that is precisely what we set out to achieve at the Duchess, to create this enabling environment that will allow the brightest and the best Nigerians who are doing wonderful things abroad to come back and give of their time. Some want to come back and do it properly and permanently like Tunde and I. Others want to come back periodically. And there are many shades of grey in there. It certainly is my job to ensure that doctors can come back and practice to the degree that they want to come back and practice in a way that is similar to what they would be doing abroad.
That's such an important counter-narrative you just shared there, so thank you for that. But my next question is, somebody right now watching the show or just even contemplating going abroad for some kind of procedure, why should they cancel their plane ticket and come to the Duchess International Ikeja?
Right. The first thing that we are saying is that the very reason for our existence is that we can offer the same quality of care, the same quality of expertise, same technology and treatments and evidence-based treatment pathways that they would be going to access abroad. That essentially is the statement that we are making. I started by saying that this is about a crisis of trust. So medical tourism, the degree that it exists is more or less inversely proportional to the degree of trust that exists in the system. What we are saying is trust the Duchess. We're geared specifically to offer the same level of care, and you can see it in the profile of consultants and facilities that we have on display.
There are other perks out there, Dr. Lalude. Like, we had a guest recently who talked about her breast cancer treatment in India and how she had to fly there alone rather than, fork out to have somebody accompany her. Can you just expand on that and really stress that?
I will highlight that by a joke I normally make, which I referred to earlier. We're saying there are certain procedures that I would do for a patient, where my patients come in, gone home, is relaxing at home, and the person going to India is still on the plane. Because we need to realize what it means to be a medical tourist, and it's not an entirely pleasant thing. You go queue up at an airport, you have to fly somewhere, you arrive in this bustling country you've never been before, foreign languages everywhere, the food is different. People cannot connect culturally with you. And you also mentioned one important thing, you're on your own.
Yep.
Your people, your relatives are certainly not going to come and visit you on a daily basis in India. And it can be a very lonely journey. And that is why we have to create an environment where you have a welcoming, familiar environment like the Duchess. These are your people, they speak your language, it is your food, people understand you. And into that is thrown competent clinical care. So there's a combination of that hospitality, first-class hospitality and the clinical care. I think it's absolutely vital for some business people. I know of a gentleman whose doctor came recently to normally sees him in London, and he was treated here in Nigeria by the same doctor. And the gentleman was extremely pleased. He said, I don't want to jump on a plane and go anywhere. And, he was able to hold meetings in his room just before his operation, and about 1-2 days after he's gone back home, gone back to his business. Instead of wasting time. These are busy people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Time is money. So it is an advantage to actually treat it at home.
Thank you for sharing all that with us and for joining us this morning.
Thank you.